War is no longer fought only by soldiers on the ground. It is fought by eyes in the sky, by coordinates, by seconds. January 21st, Kharkiv Oblast, near the settlement of Sazono-Balanivka. What began as a quiet field camp would, within minutes, turn into a scene of absolute devastation, caught, tracked, and erased by Russian precision weapons. On this day, Russian forces claim the destruction of an American-made M-270 multiple launch rocket system, alongside dozens of vehicles and heavy Ukrainian casualties. This was not chaos, this was not luck, this was a hunt. And a week earlier, in Kharkiv Oblast, another Western symbol, the M-142 HIMARS, would meet a similar fate, hunted relentlessly by Russian drones until nothing remained but twisted metal and fire. This is the story of how Russian reconnaissance, missiles, and drones turned the battlefield into a death trap for NATO-supplied systems. High above the frozen terrain of Kharkiv Oblast, a Russian reconnaissance drone hovered steadily, almost motionless against the winter sky. Below it lay a Ukrainian field camp belonging to a missile battalion, spread across open ground with little regard for concealment or dispersion. Transport trucks were parked closely together, armored vehicles stood idle in exposed positions, and logistical assets were clustered as if the threat of detection no longer existed. From the drone's perspective, the scene was astonishing. This was not a hardened military position. It was a densely packed concentration of targets. The drone circled slowly, its sensors capturing every angle, every vehicle, every pattern of movement. Then, among the massive equipment, a distinct shape emerged. Tracked, large, unmistakable. The silhouette of an American-made M-270 multiple launch rocket system came into clear view. A weapon designed to strike deep, now sitting vulnerable beneath an unforgiving sky. Russian doctrine leaves no room for assumptions. The drone did not merely observe the M-270, it confirmed it. Zoomed imagery, thermal signatures, vehicle layout, and surrounding support equipment all pointed to a live operational system. Operators cataloged the entire site, counting logistics trucks, identifying armored vehicles, and assessing how tightly everything was positioned. The dense deployment meant one thing: a single strike would not be enough, and a single strike would not be sufficient. Exact coordinates were calculated and rechecked. Within moments, encrypted targeting data flowed through Russian command channels, transmitted directly to an Iskander-M ballistic missile unit positioned far from the front lines. The decision was immediate. The target was too valuable, too exposed, and too dangerous to be allowed to relocate. The Iskander-M is not a weapon of warning, it is a weapon of inevitability. Once launched, there is no negotiation with physics, no time for evacuation, and no margin for escape. Authorization was granted, and the launcher came alive. Fire erupted as the missile surged upward, accelerating at extreme speed, following a flight path designed to evade interception. The Ukrainian camp below remained unaware, carrying on with routine activity as the missile closed the distance. Seconds later, the Iskander-M struck the heart of the field camp. A massive fireball exploded outward, consuming vehicles, fuel, and personnel in an instant. The blast wave tore through the clustered equipment, igniting secondary explosions and sending debris high into the air. The ground itself seemed to buckle under the force. Before the smoke from the first impact could fully rise, a second Iskander-M was already in flight. This was not redundancy, it was doctrine. Russian forces employ follow-up strikes to ensure complete destruction, targeting survivors, remaining vehicles, and any attempt at recovery. The second missile struck adjacent to the first impact zone, unleashing another colossal explosion. Flames engulfed what remained of the camp. Ammunition detonated violently, and vehicles that survived the initial blast were torn apart. From above, the reconnaissance drone recorded the devastation in stark detail. According to Russian claims, the result was decisive. The M-270 MLRS was destroyed, around 20 logistical vehicles were damaged or annihilated, 15 armored vehicles were neutralized, and up to 150 Ukrainian servicemen were killed or wounded. The field camp ceased to exist as a coherent fighting unit. From the Russian narrative, this strike carried significance far beyond the battlefield. The destruction of an M-270 was presented as proof that Western-supplied systems, regardless of their range or reputation, are vulnerable when detected. Technology alone, Russia claims, cannot compensate for exposure. No launcher is safe if it can be seen, tracked, and targeted. The strike near Sazono-Balanivka was framed as a demonstration of dominance, of surveillance superiority fused seamlessly with precision firepower. Seven days before the Kharkiv strike, a similar story unfolded in Kharkiv Oblast. This time, the target was a lighter, faster, and more mobile system, the M-142 HIMARS. Designed to fire and relocate rapidly, HIMARS had earned a reputation for survivability. But survivability depends on one assumption: that no one is watching. Once again, a Russian reconnaissance drone was already in the air, quietly tracking movements from a distance. The drone followed the HIMARS as it arrived at a firing position. It observed without interference, recording every stage of preparation. Rockets were loaded, targeting data entered, and the launcher elevated. Moments later, the HIMARS fired a full salvo, rockets streaking into the distance. Immediately after launch, the vehicle began to move, attempting to leave the area before counterfire could arrive. But the Russian eye in the sky never lost sight of it. Every turn, every burst of speed, every attempt at concealment was tracked in real time. The intelligence was relayed instantly to a Russian drone strike unit. This time, the response came in the form of a jet-powered Jiran drone. Fast and persistent, it closed the distance rapidly. The HIMARS crew never detected the incoming threat. The first drone struck the rear of the launcher, detonating with violent force. The vehicle was crippled, smoke billowing into the air as it came to a halt. Russian operators did not assume success. As the smoke cleared, a second Jiran drone was already inbound. It struck moments later, delivering the final blow. The explosion tore the launcher apart, igniting remaining fuel and ammunition. When the fire subsided, nothing recognizable remained of the HIMARS system. From Kharkiv to Chernihiv, the Russian narrative draws a clear line. The modern battlefield, as Russia presents it, belongs to those who see first and strike hardest. Reconnaissance drones expose the enemy. Missiles deliver annihilation, and follow-up strikes ensure nothing survives. According to Russian claims, Western systems, no matter how advanced, are not invulnerable. If they are detected, they are doomed. These strikes are portrayed not as isolated incidents, but as evidence of a battlefield controlled from above, where surveillance and precision firepower decide everything. In this version of modern warfare, there is no sanctuary, no safe distance, and no escape from the eyes watching silently in the sky. Until now, that's all for today, and thanks for watching.